Psalm 23 is perhaps the most beloved psalm. It speaks deeply to the human soul. This psalm is a song of profound trust in God. It paints a picture of God as a caring shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. This opening line sets the tone for all that follows. It is a statement of complete confidence and security in God's care. This confidence is not based on circumstances, it is based on the character of God himself. The psalm is traditionally attributed to King David. David himself was a shepherd in his youth. He understood the life of a shepherd well. He knew the dangers sheep faced. He also knew the constant care a shepherd provides. This personal experience likely shaped his words. The shepherd metaphor is rich and meaningful. It conveys ideas of guidance, protection, and provision. This psalm reflects a faith tested and found true. It is a powerful expression of personal faith. The psalmist uses personal pronouns like my and me. This shows a direct and intimate relationship with God. And one of the central themes in Psalm 23 is divine provision. The psalmist declares, I shall not want. This means that because the Lord is his shepherd, all his needs will be met. This includes physical needs like food and rest. He makes me lie down in green pastures. It also includes spiritual and emotional needs. He restores my soul. The shepherd knows what the sheep require. He leads them to places of nourishment and refreshment. Another key theme is God's guidance. The psalmist says, he leads me beside still waters. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. This shows that the shepherd is not passive. He actively guides the sheep. The still waters suggest peace and refreshment. The paths of righteousness suggest moral and spiritual direction. This guidance is not random, it is purposeful, done for his name's sake. Faith is the human response to God's divine care. The entire psalm is an expression of this faith. The psalmist trusts the shepherd completely. Even when faced with potential danger, his faith does not waver. I will fear no evil, for you are with me. The emotional journey in Psalm 23 begins with deep serenity. The opening verses paint a picture of perfect peace. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Imagine the feeling of a sheep resting in a lush field. He leads me beside still waters. These are waters that refresh, not turbulent streams that frighten. This initial tone is one of contentment and quiet joy. The soul is restored and at ease. The emotional tone then shifts subtly. It acknowledges the possibility of hardship. The psalmist says, he leads me in paths of righteousness. While these paths are good, they are not always easy. Then comes the stark phrase, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. This introduces a note of potential distress. Despite entering this place of fear, the emotional journey does not descend into despair. Instead, it rises to a new level of confident hope. The psalmist declares, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. The presence of the shepherd transforms the experience of the dark valley. Fear is overcome not by the absence of danger, but by the presence of God. The shepherd's rod and staff, instruments of protection and guidance, become sources of comfort. The psalm concludes with an overwhelming sense of assurance and future hope. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Section 4. Literary beauty, the power of metaphor and imagery. The most prominent literary device in Psalm 23 is the extended metaphor of God as a shepherd. This single image shapes the entire psalm. The Lord is my shepherd is not just a casual comparison. It unlocks a wealth of meaning. In ancient Near Eastern cultures, a shepherd was a symbol of leadership, care, and protection. Kings were often called shepherds of their people. By calling the Lord my shepherd, David personalizes this powerful image. This metaphor allows complex theological ideas about God's nature to be understood simply and profoundly. It speaks of intimacy, dependence, and unwavering care from a divine caregiver. The psalm is rich with vivid sensory imagery. This imagery helps the reader to experience the psalm emotionally and not just intellectually. We can almost see the green pastures and feel the coolness of the still waters. These images evoke feelings of peace, refreshment, and abundance. Conversely, the valley of the shadow of death creates a strong visual and emotional impact. It conjures up feelings of dread, darkness, and danger. This use of contrasting imagery highlights the breadth of life experiences. It also shows the shepherd's ability to care for his sheep in all circumstances. Another powerful metaphor is God as a gracious host. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. This image shifts slightly from the shepherd metaphor, but complements it. A host in that culture had a duty of hospitality and protection for their guests. Section 5. Enduring voices, historical roots and contemporary resonance. The historical context of Psalm 23 is rooted in the ancient Israelite world. Shepherding was a common and vital occupation. The land itself had many wild areas, pastures, and dangerous terrains. People understood the shepherd's role intimately. A good shepherd was brave, resourceful, and deeply committed to his flock. He faced predators like lions and bears. He searched for lost sheep. He led them to scarce water and grazing land. When David, a former shepherd, wrote of the Lord as his shepherd, his audience would have immediately grasped the depth of this claim. It spoke of a God who was personally involved and fiercely protective. Culturally, the image of a king as a shepherd to his people was also prevalent in the ancient Near East. This added another layer of meaning. If God is the ultimate shepherd king, then his people are under the highest and most benevolent rule. David himself as king was meant to shepherd Israel, yet he acknowledged a higher shepherd over his own life. Despite its ancient origins, Psalm 23 resonates powerfully with contemporary readers. The human heart still longs for guidance in a confusing world. People still experience fear in their own valleys of the shadow of death, be it illness, loss, anxiety, or despair. The assurance of a loving personal God who cares and protects speaks directly to modern anxieties. The Psalm's relevance today also lies in its portrayal of a resilient faith. It models a faith that endures through suffering, drawing strength from God's presence.